I think I put it on my library over there.
Now you got it here, and then here's more.
Okay,
stash it somewhere. No, thank you, dude. Can I grab a water?
Of course.
So we do these meet and greets when we play when we're on tour playing shows and stuff. And every so often, more often you don't have to lick me. More often than not, I get kids that come up to me during the meet and greets, being like, "Yo, when you gonna come back on Hasan's
Hell
stream?
yeah!
Like, yo, we loved you on Hasan and all that." So that feels good to hear.
Of course.
Yeah. So I guess I got a lot of. There's like an overlap with some CHROMEO fans and the community, the chat.
Well, we have. Here's when CHROMEO was on a year ago.
This man literally left the West because of the Me Too era. He's like a threat to.
Oh, we were talking about Andrew Tate.
Dude, you put me on to Andrew. Okay, this guy needs to chill.
Kaya.
Or girl?
Place. She is a lady. She is a lady. She's a little lady.
Quite the lady.
Very well trained lady. So don't worry.
Yo, you put me on to Andrew Tate.
Oh my God.
You literally introduced me to who that was.
Oh yeah, I remember. Remember Andrew Tate? So much time has passed. Luckily, his rocket ship to success is kind of softened now. His impact is softened.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Didn't he just get arrested again or detained or something?
Yeah, a couple of days ago. Like last week, his favorite content creator, Aiden Ross, former friend of the show, Aiden Ross.
Wait.
Outed him. Because he like DM'd him and he was like, "I'm going to leave Romania and never come back." And it's like there's an active, there's an active investigation.
So Aiden posted the screenshot or something?
No, Aiden stupidly turned around and talked about it on stream and was like, "On God, like, yo, he's saying he's gonna leave Romania. Like, I gotta go to Romania to like film stuff before he leaves."
Oh.
And then the Romanian court was like, "What the fuck do you mean you're leaving Romania?" No, you're not.
That's kind of funny. Wait, what happened with Aiden? He's not a friend of the show anymore?
Aiden Ross he's lost. He's unfortunately a lost soul. He is very much, I mean, he's on Kick, which is a online crypto gambling casino backed social media platform that's basically like Twitch, but comprised of like some of the worst. There's some friends of mine that are on there too.
Like, what's the vibe? Like, it's super.
Well, recently there was
edgelord. Is it incel?
Yeah, super edgelord, super incel. Recently, like, a prominent content creator on that platform was outed as like routinely procuring child sexual abuse material on sites like Omegle. Things like that.
What's the chat? I can't see. Maybe I need to change my glasses. Last time I was here, the chat. It's not even the chat, it's chat. And they were saying so many, Nazi sympathizers.
Yeah.
What?
They got all of it.
But
Aiden is Jewish.
Aiden's Jewish, right.
Aiden is Jewish, but he has like collaborated with Nazi sympathizers, including, of course, like hyping up Kanye West and stuff like that. So.
Oh, he's doing that now? Or he has?
Oh, I mean, he's been doing worse shit than that. I think, didn't he have like Nicholas Fuentes?
Oh, okay.
Bro, he wasn't outed. Getting CP was his content. True. He was actually, the guy I'm talking about wasn't even outed. Technically, he was already like procuring CSAM from underage girls on Omegle was basically his content. And he had a Discord server where he would like, basically you had to pay to see the nudes of the underage girls.
It feels like everything got more chaotic since I've been here. More
insane.
Like the level of basedness.
Yeah,
has increased.
Yeah, they're based. They're so based.
Your hair got shorter. The last time I came here, the chat was cool. I can't see what they're saying. Does anybody remember me from last? I got forgotten. There's a whole new generation of chat.
This is from the last time we were
Andrew
here.
Tate this month as part of a human trafficking investigation.
This was when was this?
Ago, right?
May. Yeah, this was not 1 year ago. This was 2 years ago, guys.
Damn.
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
Because the first time we chatted, some people thought we were related.
Dude, the actual first time we chatted was like almost 10 years ago
Young
at this
Turks.
point, which is insane.
Amazing.
I saw like a old photo. Does anyone have that on my Instagram? Let's see if I can find it like easily.
What are they saying? Dave, y'all look alike. I mean, when I start focusing on chat, I go crazy.
Don't even.
But I kind of low-key like, because there's a lot of cool messages on there.
Let's see if I can find like.
And I didn't come here to promote the new CHROMEO album, which came out 2 weeks ago, but we've been meaning to do this for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been.
And
he last time he was going to come through, he couldn't because he was on Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes.
Yeah, you're swagged out.
But at the same time,
let me see if I can find.
There's no better time than now. I don't know. Yeah, we were on Young Turks.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can find like.
He was against. Wait, are we talking about me? I fucking love CHROMEO. Shout out to all my CHROMEO crew.
Dave, y'all got me into synthesizers. Your music cooks, great politics too. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you said it's funny. You were like, "Wow, look at you." Did you get less jacked, or are you more?
No, I'm getting more jacked again. I got really.
But you kind of fell down. You.
I got fat during COVID. I got real. I gained a lot of weight, and now.
But
I'm
2022, you were already on the path to jackedness.
Kind of.
And now you're even.
Year. Yeah, it had been a year. This is me during COVID. I was like real. I was much more overweight.
Right.
And then I lost it.
We got to. Maybe we should train together.
I'm down.
Do workouts. I'd be down.
I'm going so far back in time because I'm trying to find that.
It's going to be far back.
Yeah.
It's going to be. Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be 2018. That's how far back you got.
Crazy.
A long time ago. Oh wow! Look at you.
This is old. Yeah, this is real old stuff.
Wow.
Wait, is this it? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
This is the first time we linked up.
Yeah. Big
296 weeks ago.
Yep.
On July 17, 2018. So it hasn't been a decade, but
it's close.
But it's literally almost a decade. 8 years.
Beautiful, beautiful friendship, beautiful kinship.
Yeah.
And it feels like things got worse and worse since then. Actually.
Yeah. Which is interesting because back then we talked about Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Oh yeah,
we talked about Israel Palestine. And I often say this. Oh, wait, not 8 years ago, 6 years ago. Sorry, bad math, leftist math. Dave is not aged yet. I know he never ages. He's a vampire. I often say this, but
oh yeah, there's always stuff about my age on chat.
Yeah, the classics are going to be: are you guys related?
Yes,
you look related. You guys, Dave is the same age consistently. It's kind of cool though, because even your aesthetic has not really changed. It's improved a little bit.
Thank you.
Now you tuck the shirt in.
That's right. Wow.
That's
what I was gonna say.
Which is a big improvement. I think.
Yeah, it is.
And
I think so too.
Are those boot cut?
They're like slight. There's a slight flare, a slight.
You guys have always been bringing it with the style though.
Looks permanently 27. I'm 45 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's. So we talked about our politics back then. Yes.
Yeah, which this is what I was saying. You can always go back to all the way back to 2016, 2014, 2015, and find things that I have written or things that I have said back then that are unfortunately still prescient and still, I have the exact same take.
You want to give yourself props?
No, it's not. Oh. What I was more than giving ourselves props here, it's more so about how little things change as far as the cruelty. It only increases. We talked about Jordan Peterson back then and we clowned on him at a time when liberals were Jordan Peterson is great though, I don't understand.
Liberals were saying that?
Yeah, there were a lot of liberals that thought Jordan Peterson was apolitical, right? And now everyone understands that he's a right-wing shithead.
Yes.
So people have arrived at that conclusion.
Yeah.
It only took, many, many years.
Yeah.
And the same thing is happening, I think, with Israel right now, which, I've recognized as an apartheid state for a very long time.
Right.
However, 2021, I think, was a pivotal moment where the Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and B'Tselem, which is an Israeli human rights organization.
Yeah, shout to B'Tselem. We love them.
Yeah, B'Tselem is great.
Yep.
They recognize Israel as an apartheid state.
Love B'Tselem.
And I think that was a turning point for Western discourse surrounding the matter. Because all of a sudden there was like more permission to openly state it as is without people being like, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic for saying this."
Yeah, yeah. I have a lot to say about this, but yes.
All right, let's start the discussion. I wanted to go through.
Yeah, well, you probably have stuff to talk about, right? Because we got
we got a bunch of stuff. We got the UN ceasefire resolution that America like came up with a fake ceasefire.
My friend, shout out to my boy Sajad. He sent me that this morning. I read the whole thing, or I read part of it. Right, but is it? Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, it was a strategic ceasefire to control the ceasefire narrative, from what I can understand.
Which is really silly because
the other ones were probably bullshit too. I would have to go. We'd have to compare and contrast.
I think ultimately, I don't think that like any state actor is being honest when they're making a decision like this.
It's a UN ditch-swinging contest.
Yeah, but it's a matter of like what is more beneficial for the Palestinian people in this circumstance where like I think it's really funny that when America was like, oh yeah, if we finally write our own carefully crafted ceasefire resolution,
then we're going to vote for it, and then the bad guys are going to vote against it. Look how racist they are.
And then everyone will be like, well, maybe it's Russia and China that's against the ceasefire all of a sudden. And it's like, who the fuck would believe that? Even as far as I saw in Western news, even NPR openly stated that America had stopped and vetoed every single ceasefire resolution up until this one that they wrote carefully and deliberately.
What about, okay, we agree. Only question is, if we're talking about the very, very, very mainstream, watered down news narrative, is there something positive that can come of the simple headline, disingenuous as it may be, the simple headline, hey, America called for a ceasefire, enter sort of simpleton, garden variety simpleton, who's been, let's just say, indoctrinated by a certain propaganda in the past, reads this and says, oh, my country that I love, that I stand by, is actually calling for a ceasefire. Let's not even get into the fine print. Is there a positive that comes of that?
Yes, there
That's
is.
what I think. That's what I think.
So too.
Thank you.
I think, like,
That's
for example,
I'm not standing for, but there is a positive in terms of,
I agree.
of collective consciousness shifting
Yeah.
within a way lower common denominator.
This is what I've been talking about for like the past couple of months at this point, which is that, like, for example, when Chuck Schumer came out in front of Congress and stated as like one of Israel's #1 dick riders historically, when he came out and was
I
like,
loved it.
And he reverted back to the liberal Zionist position, which is like a defensive posture to maintain the continuation of the apartheid, in my honest assessment of it.
It doesn't
but
matter.
It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Because when
I agree.
Because they should have done that like from October 8th.
They should have done that from 2018 onwards. I mean, yeah.
Well, they were. Like, I'm saying that the Democratic Party has always like maintained a more liberal posture when it comes to Israel. Like, they're like, oh, we don't really like Netanyahu, but like, you know, Israel has a right to exist, and, you know, don't call it an apartheid. Like, but that was framing that I'm shocked it took this long for them to get to, but the fact that they got there is still,
it's huge,
a sign of progress in the direction where, like, it's obvious that the pressure campaign that has been mounted by grassroots organizers,
I agree,
and the wonderful people over at like Jewish Voice for Peace, if not now, and many of the
now my boys are standing together. Those are that's my shout to standing together. You know about them, right? They're the organization, the Jewish Israeli Palestinian Solidarity Organization based in Israel.
Oh, are you talking about
Standing
Be'echad?
I think it is Standing Together.
Yeah, Standing Together. Yeah,
I love them.
Damn,
I love them.
I'm dropping the Hebrew name and everything.
What
do you?
You're way
no, it is. Om bin Be'echad, I think, right? I said it right, didn't I? I have a couple Israeli leftists in here. But anyway.
Yeah, I love them.
So, I mean, I'm more of a, what is it, Mesarvot supporter myself. But, you know, they're all right. Om bin Be'echad, I mean.
Wait, what?
They're, I'm, do you know, are you familiar with another organization in Israel?
Which one?
Here, I'll show it.
Let's go. Put me on.
I think, is this how you spell it? Yeah, here it is.
Oh, I see.
Mesarvot.
No, I don't know them.
They are.
There's also the former IDF soldiers, whatever.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
one.
that one's a good one
That's
too.
a big
Yes,
one.
exactly. What the fuck was that one called? Shit.
Boy always sends me those. I'm telling you, I got a couple of like
Mesarvot is the anti-Zionist.
Yeah.
Breaking the Silence is the.
Oh yeah,
is
that's the one. That's the one. I
IDF
love
one.
those.
Yeah, former IDF
Yeah, but like
guys.
a lot of Haaretz stuff is amazing too.
Yeah, Harris is like they go. They do great coverage. Obviously, they have Gideon Levy, who's incredible. They have a lot of great journalists on there.
But it's supposed to
It's
be
actually better than American media by
but
the
my
widest
thing with
margin.
Haaretz is that first of all, we're not supposed to agree with everything a paper writes.
Yeah, I
otherwise
agree.
it's Soviet.
Yeah,
like
I
a paper
agree.
is supposed to any news media should encompass a spectrum of opinions. That's what I think. I guess you're checking your text. But
Sorry,
but chat's listening. There should
no,
be
I
should
agree
be a
with you.
spectrum within a publication.
I of course they're gonna do
Yeah.
a little bit of both. Hey, okay, Kaya, no, place.
Where's my crew in the chat? I love this. I'm going crazy. Okay, so we said this is already big. This is big because a lot of our I've got beef with leftist anti-Zionists. I've got beef with everybody, but some people cringe me everywhere. But a lot of people, of course, more cynics or more, I don't know what you want to call them. We're like, yo, Chuck Schumer, whatever. You're still, in favor of XYZ. And what we just said is that his speech, to me, I agree as well, can do good things for the global narrative or the American sort of perception
I think
of
it
what's
gives
going
more
on.
permission to everyone to be like, the fuck's going on? We have to stop this.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Agreed.
that ultimately is not I ultimately think is not a bad thing. But yeah, no, I was putting you on these guys. I've had the two conscientious objectors on from this organization before.
Yeah.
They are conscientious objectors to the IDF.
Wow.
And they get jailed too. Like two of them
one
are,
of my homegirls' boyfriends refused the military service and got jailed.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, I think that it's like very brave for them to do such a thing.
Of course, by the way, infinitely braver than us.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
anything we could ever strive, it's like I'm a musician, DJ guy.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
Like there's obviously like a lot of social capital that you leave out when you do take a stance against Israel. That is the unfortunate reality. Like you saw Jonathan Glazer's speech, right? At the Oscars.
Yeah,
Like,
I have a lot to say about that
speech. It was
speech.
incredible. Did you not like it?
No, the problem with that speech is incredible. I got shivers when I saw it. The syntax was garbage. It's serious, like, and this guy's
linguist over here.
No, exactly. Well, I have a lot to say about this. If
You're saying because he said
I refute my Judaism being used for God knows what. The sentence was clumsy.
You should have said I refute Israel using my Judaism.
Refute was bad.
Or
because
I refute, like I criticize Israel.
I refuse to let my Judaism be used for XYZ.
Yeah.
Or I'm against.
They jumped on that super quick
yes,
too,
but
and immediately there was like
he served it to them on a silver syntactical platter.
I still ultimately I know what he was saying.
Yeah, me too.
So,
me too. But
so
I have a lot
would-
of friends that did not understand and that were so triggered and offended by I refute my Judaism full stop that it prevented them from understanding the message. And I have a problem with that because when you have a message that's so powerful and delivered on such a big stage,
I think it's understandable to be nervous on that stage as a
Okay,
as a
you write
Jewish
your
man.
message.
No, I know.
Of
I'm saying
course.
like as a Jewish man who made like an incredible movie that has like very obvious parallels to what is currently going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that moment, he stood next to, and I think his like producer, one of his producers that was on stage, literally was like, "I don't fuck with what he said." After the fact, like,
which is also okay. And then there was also the speech from the two German guys, the Israeli guy that was
in
beautiful.
Berlin.
Yeah. And then the Jewish guy got persecuted and outed as an anti-Semite. I mean, world upside down.
yeah.
But on this, so English wasn't great. Glazer's German. Great point. But bro, you should have written your speech better. Like
I think
the syntax was so clumsy.
I know, but it's still, bro. It's still like it's bad faith. Like people are gonna attack him in bad faith.
Yeah, it's bad faith. It's bad faith.
Should he have planned ahead of time? Maybe, but like I'm still going to ride or die for a person who.
If you don't fuck with anti-Genociders, you're not okay. Of course, no. I fuck with all those statements. The point is, I understand how people could take it and run with it. And also, when I first heard it, cold turkey, I was like, this is formulated strangely. And of course, then the emotions got me. His emotions got me, and of course, the content of the message was incredible. The film is incredible. We all agree.
I think, but the point was, I think it was a moment where, and this has happened to Melissa Barrera as well. Like Melissa Barrera was on Scream.
I saw that. Yeah,
and she posted Ross Segal, who is a famous Holocaust historian, a famous genocide scholar.
Yep.
Who wrote for Jewish Currents.
Yeah.
Formerly I think it was editor-in-chief was Noah Colwin, as you guys know Noah. So she posted an excerpt from that, the direct text that Ross Segal had written. Yeah. And she got fired from the movie for it. And I feel like in an environment like that, when there are not insignificant repercussions for being on the right side of history. I do think it's like still brave.
I thought I was your real dad. Yeah, it is brave. We agree. I have.
However, obviously, it's nothing in comparison to what Palestinians are experiencing right now. Is what I mean.
Yeah, it's also nothing in comparison to these Israeli, soldiers who are refusing to do their military service. It's also. I mean, it's. I've also become a little more Gandhi Kumbaya in all of this and trying to see the spectrum of different kind of pains that people experience in different communities and refusing to let my point of view flatten that. Because, and this is where I actually want to ask the chat something. Because, so I grew up, sorry for the little parentheses and I know it's very ADD in here, so I'll try to keep this short. But I grew up in a very leftist family. I always refused to go to Israel my whole life. Even when my brother had his bar mitzvah there, I didn't go. I was 17, and I'm like, I'm not going. My parents were always big Chomskyan leftists. This was the discourse I heard in my house growing up. So it was sort of easy in a way for me to have those opinions. I never rebelled against them. My moral compass was set from a very, very, very young age. Yeah. But I have a lot of Jewish friends, and I wonder if some of these are in the chat right now or some of these are listening right now. I have a lot of Jewish friends who grew up with extremely positive experiences with Israel.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And there are. Yeah, there
and
are
I don't want to
definitely.
deride them because those experiences are also, for them, they're valid and they're honest. If some, they were formative. And we can go on and on about them having been through propaganda and indoctrinated. That's another part of the story. But when you grow up, you have your family there. I have some family there. You have family out there. You've done trips. You've had a great time. Some of these.
My synagogue showed us PragerU vids about Israel.
Wait, what?
My synagogue showed us PragerU videos about PragerU.
No, what's that?
Oh my God! Okay.
I'm unqualified to come here. Really?
Okay. That's like that's
that?
like it's like insane right wing agitprop.
Right. What?
Like
but also,
peak.
not all Israels are right wing. Not all synagogues are right wing. Sorry.
Yeah,
by the way, not all of Israel is right wing either. Not all synagogues. There's degrees of it, and there might be people who were reform, but still, did birthright or went to Israel, had amazing experiences there, and I think for them, there's a lot of very conflicting emotions and a lot of pain, and it's easy for us to be like, "Hey, you got to unlearn all of that." And of course, I would love them to, but I'm telling you, knowing a lot of these people and some of them being close friends of mine, the watermelon emoji is not what's going to do it. It's going to take a lot more than a watermelon emoji.
What do you mean?
For them, if they see a watermelon emoji or a Palestinian flag or whatever, this is not the way we are going to make these people see our way of analyzing and of experiencing the situation.
I think you are a much better person to, like, I've done this already. Like,
no, finish your sentence. I like the way you started it. I'm a better person too.
You are a much better person to have these sorts of conversations
Yeah.
with people like
And
that who
and
have
I
been like
want to.
totally indoctrinated. Actually, not even you. I think you know
want
who's
to.
even better than you? Sam Cedar, because he himself has been, because you have the privilege of like coming from a background where you like you said you have the Chomsky parents and stuff, right?
Yeah, I cheated.
Whereas like Sam Cedar personally, I was talking to him about this exactly the other day on stream. He comes from a background where he was like, yeah, I was taught the indoctrination, right? And then he came to that conclusion. But I do think that you are much better than myself, for example, in having those conversations with people like that. Because it's just like
somebody said
I get shut off. Like there's no way.
But that's not going to help.
There's no
That's
way
not
that I
gonna
can.
help.
There's no way that like since October 7, this community went from 30,000 average viewership to 20,000. Like we lost a third, a big chunk of this community was like, nope, that's it.
Yeah, but you should have had me more. We would have grown to 50,000, and we would all agree.
Well, it doesn't really matter because like I had.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Though.
I mean, I had like Ofer Kasif, like I had, like
and
Israeli
somebody,
Knesset members
didn't
and shit.
like
They don't give a fuck.
Right. There's somebody who said something that I don't like because somebody said like it's not worth convincing ultra Zionists. Like, actually, I don't agree. And first of all, not everybody's an ultra Zionist. There's this whole spectrum of Zionism that I think like a lot of Jews grapple with and experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who are liberal but still have like links to Israel. There's people who are actually that hate the Netanyahu government but have family out there. And there's this whole spectrum of emotions that is felt. And I think, at least for me as a member of the Jewish community, having a lot of conversations with other members of the community and sharing my perspective can help shift the perception towards what's going on. That's all I'm going to say. And I disagree.
You need different strategies with different people. Is what I agree.
It's
I
going
think
so
like
fast.
I think there are definitely like better people to have these conversations with, like progressive Jews in America.
Of course,
there are people you can't. There are people you can't convince.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, he's paid to have that position. I mean, he's rabid personally, but he's also paid on top of that. So like, it's impossible to.
And then people that aren't paid too?
No, but I was actually talking about like not Zionist Jews, but Zionist Christians. Like,
those are
cannot,
funky. Those
you
are,
cannot convince those motherfuckers that like. You can't convince those motherfuckers that like the government is not run by pedophile vampires.
Oh yeah,
so,
right.
So good luck convincing them that like That
the ones that are far gone.
The rapture is not going to happen.
Yeah, but you know what fascinates me is those gray areas, right? And going back to the zone of interest, like I think what's interesting in these situations is that they're extremely polarizing. I think a lot of people are caught in the middle, and in the spectrum, that's the middle. And I think having these conversations helps because, like, the more things get polarized, the less we can think about a solution, or we can foresee a solution.
Yeah.
We've got an extremist in power over there.
I'm gonna take Kai out to pee.
Okay. Can I sit there and talk with chat? All right. Hi everyone. It's me. Wait. Going so fast. My synagogue was reformed. Okay, you guys got to stop talking so fast. Gray areas, what? Hello, sexy socialite. All right, you guys are crazy. I really love being on here because there's a lot of like, first of all, a lot of positivity. Wait, it's going too fast. I can't do this. So, anyways, that is the point I was trying to make, my fellow chatters. I actually missed you guys. This is an amazing community. I really love it. And I stop talking chat. Well, what else am I going to do? I'm here. Yeah, like I have friends who have really, really positive experiences with Israel. And like, if I go and I'm like, yo, motherfucker, this is the fucking Nakba. This is what you need to learn. They're not going to learn. They're going to push back. And so I am trying. This is my journey. This is where I'm at with my journey in the matter, is I'm trying to have conversations that start from a place of compassion, or at least identifying, like, yo, we come from the same background. I got family out there too, blah, blah, blah. Talk to the mic. I'm cutting out. Sorry, guys. And this is my experience. This is how I see things. This is how my Arab friends see things. This is how my Arab Christian friends in Lebanon see things. This is how my Arab Muslim friends see things. This is how my friend who lived in the West Bank see things. This is what they experience. And I always share documentaries. Sidebar. What was the one I love? Gatekeepers. The Gatekeepers. This is one of my favorite documentaries on the topic. By the way, I shout to anybody who's seen it. So that's it. Wait, you have whisper distance to mic. Oh, wait, did he turn his mic off? How about this? I'll do it like Fidel Castro style. Hasan looks different. I used to like that when it's time for. Oh my God, it's going something so fast. How many dead kids? Yeah, I'm with all that. I'm with all that. No, I'm good. I'm good. The documentary is called The Gatekeepers. It's incredible. It's one of my favorite documentaries on the topic because it's all the heads of Shin Bet from 1948 until 2012 who kind of reckon with the carnage. I'll be back.
Oh, I think
So much. I don't know how you not get anxiety. It's like there's so many good points that are circulating. I wish I could like freeze frame and engage. But anyways,
you just scroll up and it pauses.
Oh well, thanks for telling me this now.
I'm an Israeli Jew, and there's so much propaganda; it's inescapable. But he's also 100% right.
Yeah.
Even when you're a lefty, there's a broader political horror, and there's family and friends and all. That's a paradox you have to deal with personally.
Yeah.
The empathy is welcome, but I wouldn't expect people to extend it to Israelis when there's a genocide going on.
That's deep. That's super deep.
No, there's a.
But that's incredible. You see what I'm saying?
This is what I hear from a lot of Israeli leftists is like
and if those
the understanding of
and if those opinions were disseminated more, I think we would be in a better place.
I mean, I think those guys get like.
Well, they get hit from every side.
They get destroyed by the Israeli society, which is like I think very much at this stage. I think that like
there's a radicalization.
Oh yeah, no, I think like
so.
Here's what I think, and I'm gonna be very honest. I think Israel is now at the final throes of like fascism. In the sense that
there's a fascist in power.
But it's not even just that. It's a fascist in power that has come back into power over and over again.
Yeah.
And also
he Vladimired himself.
And also he has, well, even with Russia, like there is not really an option outside of Vladimir Putin, right? Whereas like in Israel, there's supposed to be an option. There's a Knesset. You can build coalitions.
Well, but the coalitions have cock blocked anything positive in the Knesset.
And my point is like there's an appetite for more and more of this kind of thing, which is why when you see like we got Hadash and Ahmed Tibi, I guess. So it's interesting because like Israel in both its inception and also throughout its history has had like weirdly very left-wing positions on stuff.
Absolutely.
Except like land ownership. And then it's been used against Palestinians.
Yes.
Where they can't like own any land because the government owns it and controls
it. And whitewashed when Jews and even leftist Jews like myself were learning about a different version of Zionism because I had my parents telling me like, yo, kibbutzim are the
commies.
Yeah. And they were in certain
They are,
And then you're like, yeah, okay, but that didn't apply to everybody, did it? Right? So
it's like the Bernie Sanders thing, you know? But
wait, what
Daniel
Bernie Sanders?
Levy,
Okay,
well, Bernie Sanders is he went to the kibbutzim as well. Like he was, you know.
Yeah, and I don't think he went there in bad faith. I think he went there in extremely good faith.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
And he was blinded.
Yeah.
Edward Said.
But here is the thing. Chomsky lived in a kibbutz. Well, Chomsky is like way more aggro in Israel than Bernie Sanders, though. Like,
oh man,
yeah, I would say no. Chomsky,
I've been digging into the Chomsky Edward Said relationship in the 80s. Fun fact: when I was at Columbia University, my office, my TA office was right next to Edward Said's.
Oh really? That's so sick.
And the first, and I mean, I follow Rashid Khalidi as well.
Great, he's
good. Edward Said is. Peak Edward Said is amazing, especially when he's like a literary critic. CHROMEO is what?
Chomsky is aggro almost permanently. Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote the book.
Yeah, he is great. And political protection and cover up. No, I think that's a good point. This is what I was gonna say is that like we We
was
are
a tech podcast. This guy wrote, "I look like if you were a tech podcaster." I'm sorry. Okay, go on. Sorry, my bad.
no. He's way more swag than me. Come on.
I love this. I love this whole crew.
It's like here's the thing. Israel is what happens when you don't have enough, like when the counter to fascist tendencies and reactionary ideology can be very captivating and sedating, and it can be it can accept you into his like comfortable bosom real quick if you don't check it. And it's Israel, and what we're seeing in Israel now, in my opinion, is a product of the Israeli left being cast aside, being neutered, all the way from like the Labor Party, from all the way from like what has happened to the Labor Party in general, to where we stand now.
My only beef, I don't want anybody in the chat, like, my only beef, and I don't know if we have Israeli leftists here or people from Mizrahi backgrounds. My only beef is if we talk about Israel as a homogenous society. I take huge issue with that.
I don't think Israel's a homogenous society.
It's the least homogenous society.
I actually criticize that stuff all the time.
Thank you.
However, when we're talking about like the consistent polling that's conducted inside of Israel,
I saw that.
And like having obviously the Israeli Jewish, which is, you know, the Israeli demographics, not mine. I don't subscribe to that notion, but like the Israeli Jewish population's opinion on continuing the atrocities in Gaza, there's like incredible amounts of support for it. So I'm trying to address where that comes from, and I think it's like a permanent rehashing and recycling of like the dehumanizing narratives that you see.
There's a little bit of that.
And a constant cycle of justification for the violence.
There is that, and there's something no one on chat or in this room can contend with, and we're dealing with trauma and completely irrational. And if somebody in your family got October 7th.
Yeah.
Or if somebody got blown up in a bus in the 70s. Like, we just don't, I cannot imagine what that does to the rationality that you and I
It's post 9/11 America all the time.
It's worse.
No, it's post 9/11 America. Right? No, that's what I'm saying. It's post 9/11 America, which completely shuts off people in Israel from like many people in Israel from even seeing that like these actions are a byproduct of like maintaining an apartheid regime over the course of 75 years.
Different degrees of apartheid regime and different degrees of gaslighting their own population and the Palestinian population.
Yeah, no.
You guys elected them. What are you guys complaining about? You guys elected them in 2006. It's your choice. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
and then,
but that's like that ultimately is just Ilan Pappé wrote an article about 25 years ago. In the article, an analysis Israeli school curriculum and determined that the next generation will be more fascist. Well, I mean,
I was reading stuff on that even like sort of 10 years ago. Radicalization of, or the radicalization of an Israeli demo that is too young to remember even the prospects of peace. We can talk about Oslo Accords and all we can deconstruct all of that, but just the narrative or the prospect that was even in the realm of the possible. You have people who don't even remember that.
I think
it's not on their.
I think it stems from the inception of the very real trauma due to the collective shared trauma of the entire global Jewish population due to pogroms, due to the Holocaust, and how Zionism was launched off of a response to that hurt, like that very real historic atrocity.
And I've been reading more about the sort of the early versions of Zionism and the Jewish figures who were opposed to it. Fervently opposed to it in Eastern Europe, and that's also fascinating.
Yeah, no,
their perspective is really great. Thank you. Palestinians have it worse. I'm sorry. Of course they do. Of course. Okay. Whoever's saying Palestinians have it worse, let's just let it be known They absolutely do.
Yeah,
no one is
100%.
questioning this.
Well, there are plenty who are questioning this, but no one here is
no one
questioning
hears,
this.
No one here is questioning this. But as someone who's Jewish and who's always been on the extremely progressive side and on a side that's been, sort of incessantly critical of Israel, I think it also behooves me to, is that how you say it? Behooves, and I'm here giving syntax lessons. I don't even know how to use this. It behooves me to have conversations with Israeli sympathizers across the spectrum, because I actually have some in circles of friends, close friends.
I don't think you're going to find, for the record,
on chat.
I don't think you're going to find any Israeli sympathizers in this chat.
That's okay. You guys know I'm not like that. But anyways,
Like I said, they've like anyone who
but
had
it's unfortunate that they left.
anyone who
We
had
should
even
all-
a marginal
Right.
interest in defending Israel post October 7.
I'm not talking
literally-
about defending Israel. That's not what I'm talking about.
No.
I'm talking about contending with links, emotional attachments, and positive associations with Israel. And that can be very real, even
Yeah.
with people who hate Netanyahu's guts. And
Yeah,
those
no,
people need
it's
to feel
just-
seen, and they need people like me or like you to have conversations
I don't
with
think
them.
they'll listen to people like me. That's what
Well,
I'm
they'll
saying.
listen to. Hopefully, they'll listen to
'Cause-
people like me.
'cause
I have them in
they-
my DMs all the time. It's beautiful.
They won't listen to people like me because I think a part of it's hard to separate a part of contemporary Zionism with a genuine fear, whether it is through whether it's a trauma response.
You're
or
about to
whether
say
it's just,
something very smart. I know what you're
whether
going.
it's a
I know
trauma
where you're going with
response or
this.
whether it's propaganda that they've been socially conditioned into believing.
Yeah.
They see a guy whose name is Hasan,
Yeah.
and they see someone who's Turkish, a Muslim guy, and they go, no.
Ironically, Turkish. You guys are really, you guys calling Israel colonizers. You guys wrote the book on that shit.
It's not only that, but I've also been incredibly critical of the Erdogan administration.
Yeah.
because Recep Tayyip Erdogan is
He's a mini. He could be a little BB in the making. That one.
he's more Vladimir Putin than Benjamin Netanyahu. I think he's
Same
already there.
ilk.
But what I was gonna say is, no, Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan always is duked it out with Benjamin Netanyahu historically. With the Mavi Marmara massacre, when the Turkish humanitarian aid ships went through the blockade and they got slaughtered, except Turkey is a major, as a NATO nation, a major ally to Israel behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Erdogan will say he'll go to unimaginable lengths. He's like, yeah, we love Hamas. They're the brave warriors or whatever.
Well, some of them are now stationed in Turkey.
Yeah,
I
but
read
it doesn't
something about that.
But it doesn't matter because I believe somewhere around 40% of all energy that Israel uses comes from Azerbaijan, and it goes through Turkey. So Erdogan technically could shut off the energy in Israel if he wanted to, if he wasn't
getting paid.
really. But yeah,
He's getting a kickback.
and his son actually is a shipping magnate, and his son sends product to Israel, ships products to Israel. So they're directly involved.
And I love that you said this. By the way, this is incredible. But I also think, and tell me if you agree about this, is that obviously the discourse that we hear, especially here in America, isn't always privy to the geopolitical underpinnings, the often paradoxical geopolitical underpinnings of what happens in that side of the world, from energy to Captagon, right?
Yeah.
To BB sending wads of cash, briefcases of cash
To
right?
Hamas officials by way of Qatar.
Yeah, okay. So and I think that an understanding of that. What's interesting is when I speak to my Lebanese friends, especially some who are over there, they master that stuff, and they'll tell you who's on whose payroll, because I feel like Lebanon has been sort of in the throes of completely Kafkaian, paradoxical, Byzantine political intrigue for super long.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise them. They're like, oh yeah, of course, this guy in Hezbollah is on this guy's payroll, and the Christian party used to say this, and now they're saying that. But when it comes to Israel, we've been taught by the media here, by whatever propaganda apparatus, that it's clean, that it's a clean democracy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. That's what they always say.
And by the way, and by the way, objectively speaking, there's tremendous artists, tremendous intellectuals, tremendous filmmakers, brilliant minds, Tel Aviv University, and all that. And I just want to keep mentioning how much of Israeli political discourse is also extremely critical of the apartheid. I'm French, guys. Sorry. State.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy Omer Bartov, even though he's here in the U.S.
Yeah. The thing is, I think in many ways, like I do feel like, and you can speak on this a little bit better than me, maybe, because like, I saw two dramatic shifts post October 7. I do think that like October 7 completely shed the notion that like you could maintain this process where, you know, millions of Palestinians either in Gaza or in the West Bank are existing under military occupation. For all intents and purposes. In Gaza, sure, there is like an interior ministry, but it's still under a blockade.
West Bank is the one that's always gotten me.
It's like
that's the one that from day one drives me insane.
West Bank is like completely unacceptable. Apartheid, Bantustan's being formed, no contiguity for a state.
Checkpoints, forget about it.
Yeah,
no, it's so that's the aberration for me.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a completely unsustainable process that like Benjamin Netanyahu, by way of the Trump administration, was able to basically completely write out and overlook Palestinians as even like participants in this conversation.
Of course, October 7th was a tragedy. I want to, somebody said that.
Yeah, and I think like October 7 is a culmination of that hubris, that arrogance, I would even say, where it's like, no, we're done. Like the Palestinians are an afterthought. Like we're going to continue normalizing relations on in very public ways with like the Gulf states and
Israel did that?
Yeah.
The Gulf states are in cahoots.
Exactly.
The Gulf states love Israel.
I know the Gulf states have always been in cahoots, but
Egypt
especially
too? Egypt too?
Exactly. But what I'm saying
and that doesn't surprise me, by the way.
No. It's unsurprising to myself
geopolitics
as well.
101.
What I was trying to say is that Trump administration Abraham Accords basically solidified that like we were not talking about Palestinians at all. We were just moving.
We
were just moving on.
BB went like this.
Yeah. We're just wiping the notion that like Palestinians get any autonomy whatsoever off the table.
Yeah.
And we're basically continuing with normalizing relations in public, like openly normalizing relations with the states, even though the populations there are definitely not on board with such normalization. And I think that was the moment where it was like, no, this has to be costly. Like it will be costly. And it was. And in many ways, I think it radicalized a lot of people into going, oh, I was a liberal Zionist. I thought we could live with the Palestinians, and look how they betrayed us. Look what they did as a thank you. Not realizing that like those conditions were untenable for the Palestinians in perpetuity, and all they've known is like
none of which justify a massacre. But that doesn't matter.
Not.
It was going to happen one way or another.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's a pressure cooker. By the way, somebody said I interrupted you too much. 2 people said that, so I apologize. I might not have good stream etiquette, so I apologize. I'm still new to this.
Yeah,
even though I love it so much.
You do. You love reading chat, which is
I shouldn't. Yeah, my
devastating.
eyes are hurting. I agree with everything you said, and I wish I could pull up this clip of one of the heads of the Shin Bet. So
I've shown him before.
The one from last week where he's like, "How dirty will you fight?" And he was like, "Very dirty." And it's fascinating to see someone who was literally on the most aggressive side come to terms and say, I understand why they're doing this. I understand why they think like this. When you're a former head of the Shin Bet, to me that sent shivers.
I mean, there's like you said, the Gatekeepers. I think I've shown pieces from the Gatekeepers documentary before. Like where I mean, chat can find it too if you describe it a little bit more.
My boy is writing "Breaking the Silence." Yo, I got my boy.
Wait, someone is this it?
This is it. This is it.
Dude, that, by the way, that took literally like 15 seconds for someone to find the clip. You briefly alluded.
These people.
You briefly alluded to it, and they fucking found it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Could you describe what is the reality for Palestinians here?
A life of people who dream about freedom and don't see it. Whether we liked it or not, we control the life of millions.
If you were a Palestinian living in the West Bank or Gaza, what would your view be of Israel?
I would fight against Israel in order to achieve my liberty.
How would you fight? How dirty?
This is crazy.
I would do everything in order to achieve my liberty, and that's it. You cannot deter a person or a group of people if they believe that they have nothing to lose. We Israelis, we shall have security only when they will have hope.
Woo!
It's true. I mean,
Yo,
it's 100% true.
I don't know. The chat might be too cynical. Sorry to interrupt.
No, because look, I think part of the reason why chat has an immediate reaction that's negative to a statement like that is because in many ways, sentiments like that, or sentiment like that that is expressed from maybe well-intentioned sometimes, but oftentimes not so well-intentioned liberal Zionists, for example, still go back to the old days of continued settler expansion and continued struggle in the two-state process, in the framework of the peace process.
Right.
So that's the reason why people go like, oh, well, this is, this is just like someone saying this specifically so they can go back to business as usual.
Who is it? Who is it saying it? And what does it show?
But I do think it's he's right. He's 100% right. Which was,
and who was he?
Like I'm not a fan of Yitzhak Rabin, but I recognize that he was one of the only people in Israeli politics that genuinely understood and fucking paid the ultimate price for it. Yes. By the way, there was no way that this situation could go on without negotiating with the Palestinian population and seeing them as human beings and offering them at least like something to work towards.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
absolutely
it's something to work towards, like a goal. Now, who knows what would have happened if he wasn't executed? I think that he was probably going to get elected out, by the way, because Benjamin, have you ever seen the Benjamin Netanyahu interview after he died?
No.
He literally goes, I wish they hadn't killed him because I was going to beat him. Like, I mean, he was like, polling at the time showed that like, Likud was gaining a lot of momentum off of that specifically. So, the assassination of Yitzhak was the point at which dramatic radicalism was sparked because of the dream that had didied. Yeah, I think that.
Sorry.
Well, go ahead. You say.
No, I'm so self-conscious. And then there's an amazing piece that I read about from Rashid Khalidi, where he pokes all these holes in the Oslo Accords. The Oslo Accords wasn't even a genuine path towards autonomous Palestinian statehood.
Yeah,
of course. And it's still the reference, right?
Of course. And everyone always is like collectively, either willingly or without recognizing, like it feels like a collective gaslighting where people are like, no, you don't understand. The Israelis offered like great terms, and then the Palestinians just cast it aside because they're fucking barbaric animals or whatever. And it's like, no, it was just awful. My only
thing that I find also cringy, and I'm sorry, Chad, I don't want to, but it's when we're all here in front of our computers and cell phones discussing one state versus two state solutions with no regards to what both the Israeli and the Palestinian populations strive for. There was a piece in the New Yorker that came out a couple of months ago about the prospects. Once the ceasefire happens, what are the prospects? And this guy was like, the one state solution isn't even popular within the Palestinian population.
I think it's like I think like as
Settler
far as the Palestinian opinion on the matter goes, I think the Palestinian population is like definitely more amenable to going towards that conclusion, because it like demonstrably would better their living conditions if they were offered like
It just needs to be equality, man.
like yeah.
I'm sorry to
For
sound like
me-
a simpleton.
No. I mean, that's what I
Just
say
needs
as
to
well.
Be equality,
The thing
equal
is-
rights, bro.
The thing is, like, Palestinians ultimately, I think, like the way I describe it is like this. Like right now, if you have like Palestinian citizens of Israel have like, you know, maybe marginally better than Jim Crow like conditions living inside of Israel. If that's the case, then obviously like Palestinians living in the West Bank have a much worse situation than that. And the Palestinians living in Gaza are living in a ghetto that is almost entirely controlled and surveilled around the clock, even before this last mowing of the lawn operation.
It's unimaginable.
My point is, like, even if, and I've said this before, even if we moved in the direction of all Palestinians unconditionally getting like Palestinian citizens of Israel type citizenship and amenities, it would be a dramatic improvement in their living conditions.
Absolutely.
Like unimaginable improvement in their living conditions,
course.
which is, of course, something that is a non-starter for the Israeli government in general, or time and time again. The current Israeli government, especially so. But like, it's like
Equal
not even
rights is the
equal
minimum.
rights, not even equal rights is what I'm saying. Like currently,
And the
a
apartheid. I agree with
Palestinian
all that.
citizen of Israel can't like purchase a home everywhere they want.
It's
There are
nuts.
literally like Jewish enclaves where they could be like, legally they could say, no, we do not want an Arab to live here. And this isn't just like the opinion of the likes of Bezalel Smotrich, who has openly said like, I don't want a fucking Arab to give birth to a child next to my wife.
Those are the nutcases.
Yeah, those are like the most. Those are the most
fanatics.
maximum. Yeah, those
Yeah.
are the most maximum fanatics.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like the average, the median Israeli voter's perspective on it, that either overlooks this glaring inequality, or somehow, even if they don't overlook it, they're like kind of on board with it.
So and I agree with everything.
But like I was saying, even if that was the case, even if they moved in that direction, it would be dramatic improvement in the lives of Palestinians because of how bad the situation is. So like, I'm happy with like moving in that direction regardless. And I do think that the Palestinians would be open to it as well, even
What
if
happens to
currently
the
33%.
settlers? Yeah, the settlers is what, for me, I think, when we started this conversation by you saying, you had a degree of outrage even when we first met 6 years ago. And this is only, it's sort of, you feel validated,
I mean, it's not
even that. It's not an ego
happiness.
validation.
Yeah.
No. It's not. Yes, I was right all along. But you started by saying like everything's not only been the same, it got worse. To me, the sort of like aberration was always the settlements. I don't know if it's because I'm Jewish. I don't know if it's because I've got crazy family anecdotes about that. The settlements, to me, there's something of a root cause. It's the sin. It's like, it's the aberration.
Yeah.
And every time I see images of that or footage of that, it just like, that's what makes my blood boil the most. It's a visceral thing. Anyway.
Yeah. It is.
That's
It
so
is.
bad and gay.
It is
These guys are too
genuinely.
slick. I can't keep up. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I would like, if I stayed here longer, I would just like, my eyes would burn. The
Yeah.
whole country is a settlement, dude.
Yeah. So
is the one you live in.
yeah. So there is that mentality of like that 1948 is like when the settlement project first began, and West Bank is a continuation of that.
I mean, the expansion is what kills me. The whole thing, yes, but the expansion, the ceaseless financed expansion.
Yeah, financed not by, for the record, financed not by even American Jews, but mostly financed by American Christian Zionists.
That I don't know the fine points of.
No, 100%. This is something that a lot of people forget. They get lost in the sauce where they think like, okay, so many people in the United States of America think that like Israel is they've been captivated by the narrative that like Israel is the Jewish state. It has to exist as the Jewish state, as a demographic majority Jewish state, and that it represents the interests of all Jews, which is inherently anti-Semitic to say. Even if there's like some level of truth to it in the way that like a lot of Jewish people receive this information, it still doesn't matter. It is in my opinion, inherently anti-Semitic thing to claim that like all Jews ride or die for Israel.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Hugely. And
So-
it's a cause for persecution of people like me.
Exactly.
Or the German filmmaker we spoke about before.
And it
So
literally, and it instills like genuine anti-Semitism in both the supporters of Israel, who are oftentimes like by and large very anti-Semitic, the Christian Zionists that I'm talking about.
They're hugely anti-Semitic too,
Yes.
right? They just want us to leave.
Yes.
Is that what they want?
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So basically, my point is that a lot of people, because of this propaganda, whether they're genuinely interested in like what is in the best interest of Jews, and they think that this is the best interest of Jews, or because of the anti-Semitism that we talked about, a lot of people think that this conversation starts and begins at American Jews or Jews in the Western world, when Zionism versus anti-Zionism within the Jewish community in America, at least like polls that I've seen, show a demographic breakdown that is actually quite similar to Zionism versus anti-Zionism, or rather, empathizing with Palestinians versus empathizing with Israelis or the Israeli government's actions. It's almost identical. Once you get to like under 45, you start seeing in the Western Jewish populations genuine anti-Zionist tendencies that are almost identical in percentages to every other group in the country, with I guess the exception of like Muslims or Arabs. And beyond that, the much larger player here is actually the much more significant, much more politically important group of American voters, which are the evangelical Christians.
Yeah.
Evangelical Christians numerically
They're
are
the Illuminati.
so much.
How come they're saying, we're the Illuminati?
Yeah.
They're the Illuminati.
Evangelical Christians are so much larger in size than American Jews are, both anti-Zionist and Zionist. There's not that many Jews in general. What is it, 15 million around the planet?
14 to 15
Yeah, 14
worldwide.
million Jews around the planet, 6 million Jews in America, somewhere along those numbers. You have like a 10x number of evangelical Protestant Christians that are Zionists from a theological perspective, which is like the Armageddon stuff.
Right.
Even from the most extreme perspective, when you talk about like, not all evangelical Protestants are like, John Hagee loving, mega church attending psychopaths. Right. I'm talking even the fucking most insane, when you look at the numbers of the most insane, zealous Christian evangelical supporters in this country, it's still almost 10x's the number of Jewish Zionists in this country. So this conversation is always had on the boundaries of like,
and they're financing
Jews
as well.
want this, and
they're financing as well.
not only are they financing, they are directly financing settlement expansion in this country. It is not American Jews that finance West Bank settlements. It is American Christians that finance West Bank settlements.
Yeah, I got to read up on that. I got to read up
directly
more on
through a network of massive mega churches. The number one funders and facilitators of not only even birthright in some instances, which is very interesting,
Insane.
but specifically settlement expansion in the West Bank. These operations are almost not entirely conducted, but almost entirely conducted by American Christian Zionists.
So that example a couple of weeks ago of this dude in New Jersey at the synagogue being like, whoa, 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 we're not selling any real estate out there. That's an outlier compared to, wow.
Yeah, I mean, well, because those guys are the actual settlers that come to America.
Yeah, and they're like,
to
buy a
literally,
plot.
yeah, to talk to the evangelicals that are funding and facilitating this stuff. This was, I mean, here, we can watch this if you want. This is from 2018.
Yeah.
Why evangelical Christians
my
love
boy
Israel.
Shane. Oh boy.
Yeah,
that's a whole other conversation, right?
He sucks. But like,
you guys know, yeah, okay. We're not going to get into my history
there's a newer
with Vice.
one. Why evangelical Christians influence U.S. policy in the Middle East. But
thank you to you and to everybody sending links, because, you know, I guess because of my background, how I was raised, who I am, what I worry about, obviously, sorry to use the term, the Jewish question, but I tend to focus on that. Yeah. And I have a lot to learn.
This is
a
whole that's what's really interesting, because you're well read on this matter, but even you're shocked by this. And this is something that I bring up all the time. And it's very confusing to a lot of people because they're so conditioned into having this conversation on the boundaries of Judaism, on the boundaries of like what Jews want. Right. And this has nothing to do,
like they know or care.
This has nothing to do with what Jews want at all.
Right.
In the words,
so what do they want?
Of Joseph Robinette Biden. I'm going to tell you in a second. In the words of Joseph Robinette Biden, there's two different components at play here. One, America's imperialist endeavors in the region, a resource-rich region that it wants to control.
Yeah, but that's geopolitics.
Yes.
And that doesn't faze me.
I know, but that's a very important part of this
modus
conversation.
Operandi. It's post-Cold War, whatever. Okay.
And then the other thing is the theological justifications for
That's
it.
what I don't know about.
Which is the rapture, which I'm going to explain in a second. But as far as the American State Department interest, the American capitalist interest, the American imperialist interest in the region, Joe Biden once famously said, I think it was in the 80s, I love Israel. If Israel didn't exist, we would make it.
I saw that. Yeah.
We would make an Israel.
Yeah.
So
they wanted a Puerto Rico out there.
They wanted an enclave. They wanted a forward operating base.
But that doesn't. But if you know the Cold War or even the aftermath of World War II, all the stuff that and Chad is talking about it, that doesn't surprise. I'm not saying I don't condone it, but it doesn't surprise us. It's geopolitics 101. Iran thinks like this. Russia thinks like this. I'm not saying it's good. It's horrific, but doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So it's 1,000% true that Zionism was a settler colonial project, and that's crucial to know. What worries me is people who call Tel Aviv a settlement when there's an active expanding settler colonial project in the West Bank and e.g. East Jerusalem. Well, that's not really the reality within the Green Line. Not drawing that distinction worries me because it could hinder tackling the latter. Just today, Israel did the largest land expropriation in over 30 years. Yeah. No,
that's to what I was saying earlier.
Look, I am obviously very sympathetic to the Palestinian emancipation, as everyone knows. That's why I keep getting called a terrorist all the fucking time. However, having said that, like, I've also maintained the position that, like, it is completely understandable that, like, within the Green Line, within what you know as like Israel proper, on like post 1948 boundary, post 1947 boundaries, like you're not going to expel people that have only lived in Israel and only know Israel. This is their land.
Insane.
Like
there are people by now. Rashid Khalidi makes a great point for that.
They're not going anywhere, which is
no one's going anywhere. So there's 7 million here, 7 million there.
Yeah,
they deserve equal rights.
And like I get when I say this, people sometimes get mad at me for saying this.
For saying like, what?
They have to leave. They have to leave like the Algerians. They have to leave like the French colonists did in Algeria after.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
The Algerian independence, and it's like, first of all,
the Pieds Noirs, they're saying,
for the record, if there was a genuine move towards like inevitably creating a secular one state between Palestinians where everyone has equal rights and equal representation,
or two state, whatever.
Well, but regardless, like, people that are the most racist would leave. They would be like, I don't want to live next to Palestinians. Fuck that shit. So that is a matter that, like,
or they'd coexist, like racists coexist with us here. Maybe there's a racist over there.
They would be forced to coexist, and some of the most like reactionary would leave, like they did, ironically, in apartheid South Africa, which some of them went to Israel. But that's a totally separate subject. White flight. So my point
Right.
my point was going back to the
Except that
evangelical theological justification.
white flight. Except, another talking point that cringes me to no end. When people talk about Israeli imperialism, so to speak, is the assumption that Israelis are white.
I know. I say that all the time.
That's
It's
insane.
like you will never. I mean, look.
I'm a Moroccan, bro.
He listen.
I mean, maybe I'd read
No, we're both
white
passing.
Ethiopian
dudes.
Jews. Shout to my falashas out there too.
So here's the thing. I say this all the time. If you were to put a lineup of and looked at the population demographic percentages of Sephardi and Mizrahi Jews
Correct.
and Ashkenazi Jews and placed them on a lineup,
And said, where's the Jew? Where's the Arab?
Populated with Palestinians side by side, you would never be able to guess who is actually Jewish and who is actually Christian or Muslim, especially because, as I mentioned just now, in that population group, there are a shit ton of Arab Jews.
Of course, that's my family background.
Yeah, the unfortunate reality is that classification in Israel deliberately doesn't exist, where the Israeli government classifies everyone as either Jew or Arab. And that blows my mind because, like, well, it doesn't blow my mind because it is an ethno state, but that classification actually betrays the notion that Arab Jews are the plurality.
You know the story
Israel.
about Arab Jews whose children got taken from them too, right? That's a whole thing. I'm sure there's someone on chat who knows more about this than me, but there's a whole class of Mizrahi Jews who came to Israel and their children, and they were placed in like these kind of like indoctrination camps.
Oh, yeah.
And their
I
children,
thought
it's
that was
some
before,
Argentina shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Where, they were taught to eat proper because they thought
because they were doing this shit.
The whole
Yemeni Jews. Shout out to my Yemeni Jews out there
exactly, too. Yemeni Jews as well. Like there are a lot of Arab Jews that came from Arab countries that fled Arab countries or came voluntarily from Arab countries that literally were treated as like second class citizens by the broader Israeli society that portrayed itself as like they wanted to be like a Western facing nation.
I don't even know if it's the broader Israeli society because it was like
not
a
the broader
small
Israeli society. You're right. It's just more so like that. There was a deliberate attempt to like restructure, I think, Israeli society in the same way that like when they would burn down Palestinian villages, they'd put European like pine trees and shit. They'd plant European style trees that were not like naturally that didn't naturally exist in the region.
Yeah, there's this lore in my family.
Europeanize the.
My mom tells me this about so my mom's from Morocco, and she tells me this about relatives of hers who, instead of coming to North America in the 50s and 60s, went to Israel, and they actually got sent to that Moroccan community got sent. And I think it was like offsite. I think it was in France, but they got sent to a camp. It's like some Uyghur shit, and they got sent to
re-education. Yeah, 100%. Like re-education, so that.
Bless you.
So that you can integrate appropriately into Israeli society. But that has, in my opinion, that has played a role in the likes of like having now this weird phenomena where a lot of the Mizrahi Jews are like some of the most reactionary motherfuckers in Israel. Now you got the Ashkenazi Jews that are like, we should do two-state. Come on, please chill. And then some of the Mizrahi Jews are like, fuck that. I'm here to kill every fucking Arab. And it's like, bro, you're Arab.
Yeah.
Like, Itamar Ben-Gvir. He's Iraqi.
No, but he's American.
Itamar Ben-Gvir?
Yeah. I think he's. I'm almost.
No. He's not. He's Iraqi Kurd. He's Arab. He's an Arab Jew.
Yeah, but isn't he from Brooklyn or something?
No,
that's not him. That's the other guy. That's his.
What you mean?
What's the name of?
Unless you're talking about Bibi, who is from Philly.
No.
Smotrich? Is Smotrich from? I don't think Smotrich is American.
Wait. No, it's not him. What's the name? My boy. I've got a boy here. He's born in Israel. What is the name of? Yeah. Okay. The group is the Kach political party. Oh, Meir Kahan.
Oh,
he's a New York.
Yeah.
Right. So without him, no Ben-Gvir. He's a New Yorker.
Exactly. No. Yeah.
Sorry for not knowing.
So for those of you who don't know, David's talking about the Kahanist movement and Meir Kahan specifically. One of his fucking psychopathic followers is Baruch Goldstein, who did the massacre. But yeah, he's
Kahan was Ben Gvir's ideologue.
Yes, it is. Of course, Ben Gvir was
a little zealot under Kahan.
Ben Gvir was too much of a fucking right-wing extremist for the Israeli Defense Force.
Yes,
like they were like, "Oh, dude, you're a terrorist. Like you can't join the IDF."
Yes,
like that's how fucking insane he was.
Insane.
But that's how I use that as like I use that as a way to I use it as a way to describe like how much further right Israel as a society has moved as far as like at least like accepting people.
Well,
like
I was going to say because it incorporated Ben Gvir into the political spectrum, whereas he was a pariah.
And that is 1,000% Benjamin Netanyahu's doing. Like his right-wing capitulations, and he is also very extremely far right as well. But like
who
that Benjamin Netanyahu?
You think?
Yeah. But I think that his deliberate attempts at like, moving further and further to the right, moving Israeli society further and further to the right, is what created like these dudes that were originally outcasted in the fucking 90s that were like very much welcomed in a way. And we are seeing an identical parallel here in America as well. And I try to describe this to people where like fascism is very universal. Oh, yeah. Mizrahi Jews being right-wing is a fascinating development because if you look up Black Panther Israel, you'll see how this country developed differently. There was a massive police brutality and discrimination against Mizrahis, my fam included, by the Mapai Labor government, and Harut grabbed that voter base.
Interesting. And then I remember watching that HBO series, which is actually on point, the Our Boys one, and you're seeing these sort of settler families, and some of them are Mizrahi or Sephardi, and then they kind of rebrand themselves as Ashkenazi radical, and they erase. I mean,
they erase their lineage of like, because like that is the nationalistic mythos that needs to exist. I think like a socially cohesive, constructed nationalist identity.
Yeah,
that's why like you had fucking Hitler. Who did not want to go back to like the Teutonic mud huts. So he was like fantasizing about like finding esoteric ways in which like going to Nordic ruins and be like, these are our guys. And it's like, no, not really. Like,
no, you're absolutely right.
Because like you have to craft an identity.
Yeah. And what I was reading about the early sort of people who were dissenting Zionism, they were actually European Orthodox and really religious Jews. And what they didn't buy was the secular nationalist identity. Yeah. And they're like, yo, we hate this idea. You guys are all going to think that you're Israelis. You're going to forget to pray. You're going to forget to go to the synagogue.
Well,
you're going to identify as a nation and lose your identity.
Orthodox Jews are fascinating.
They are.
Because there's so many different like subsects where you have like the Neterai Karta who believe that like there is no theological justification for the state of Israel to exist until the Messiah comes.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
and And Jews
Those are
like,
funny.
Jews are like a nationless people. They're supposed to be nationless until the Messiah comes, and then they can have a nation. But ultimately, what is he saying? Absolutely, Iraqi Jews weren't Zionists. Avi Shlaim talks about this. Israel national myth and historic. Yeah, exactly. Historiography developed in sync.
Those are the voices I want to amplify too, to sort of like have a further understanding of the mosaic and the spectrum within Israeli society, within Israeli history, and within the Jewish population here. Because anyways, that's like sort of my, conversations I try to have. You guys know what my opinions are, but anyway, this is fun.
So
wow,
here, but let's talk about these fucking American.
This is something I know very little
about. These
about.
American pigs here.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been the focal point of geopolitical instability in the Middle East since the establishment of Israel in 1948. Although the vast majority of the international
I was one of the editors of Vice for 9 years.
Wait, I did not know that. What the fuck? Yo, this motherfucker's done everything, bro. He was a Columbia professor. I did not know that you were an editor for Vice.
Music only. Rap music only. They're from Montreal. I grew up with those guys. That's for another chat. That's for post-ceasefire chat.
Yeah,
Let's watch this.
And the United States publicly support a two-state solution to try and end this conflict after decades of negotiation, a final settlement has never been reached. And tensions between the Jewish state and the Arab world continue to fester. Throughout this process, America has remained firmly behind Israel as its greatest supporter. In fact, Israel receives more U.S. foreign aid than any other country in the world.
Right, we know that.
Now, much of this support has been attributed to a strong, wealthy, and very pro-Israeli lobby in America, which is true, but you'd think that the majority of the strength behind this lobby would be the Jewish community in the U.S.
Yeah, we think it's AIPAC.
Which is only partially correct,
Okay.
because as it turns out, in terms of sheer numbers, the evangelical Christians from America's Bible Belt make up the majority of this lobby's power base.
Yo.
So he sent Thomas Morton to find out why a bunch
my
of
God,
born-again
Thomas Morton
Christians
used to
from
be my
Texas
intern. Go on.
are so in
That's crazy. What a flex, bro. Okay.
Okay,
That's
go.
dope. One thing that I have to mention here is what's that fucking guy, the dude that wore the yellow Star of David at the UN ambassador, the UN envoy to Israel.
Wait, sorry.
What was his name, Chad? Fuck, I can't believe I'm forgetting him now. No, not Yoav Galan. Yoav Galan is the defense minister.
Yeah.
No,
he's human animal.
Gilad Erdan. You're right. No, not Concreas. You're right. I think it was Gilad Erdan. Okay, so Gilad did something that was really interesting. No, it's not Eran Morad. That's funny. You know who Eran Morad is?
Look at you with your little your
Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen's character. The one who was like able to infiltrate all of the spaces in DC by portraying himself as like a Mossad guy.
Yeah. He's incredible.
Again, like so easy to get access to congresspersons by being like, "Oh, I am Israeli," and
all right.
I am Mossad.
Stop with the your accent is anti-Semitic. Just kidding. You actually do it really well. Go on.
So yeah, because I watch a lot. I watch a lot of this stuff, but so Gilad Erdan, in between the whole like wearing the Star of David, the yellow Star of David, to be like, we have to keep killing Palestinians or else this is literally the Holocaust, which is so disrespectful. In between that process, he flew to America.
Okay.
He flew to America and he delivered a speech. I remember this was early on.
Does this connect with the Christian?
Yes.
Okay.
The speech that he delivered was in front of a Dallas, Texas audience at a mega church, which was very interesting. I tweeted about it at the time. It was John Hagee's mega church. John Hagee.
We saw him at the rally.
Who
John.
also was at the rally, who once famously said that Hitler was half Jewish. And actually, it's a good thing that the Holocaust happened so that like Israel could be created.
Okay. You're triggering me. You're triggering me.
Absolute fucking monstrous psychopath.
Yeah, nut job.
Yeah. So why was Gilad Erdan and other Israeli diplomats on October 27th flying to Texas to hold a Christian right prayer rally with this fucking psycho?
Yeah.
Where he cited the prophet Isaiah, a dog whistle for the end times, and calls on evangelicals to help lobby the U.S. government back Israel as a religious war.
Okay, put me on.
It's because of what you're about to see.
Okay.
Because evangelicals are the most loyal supporters of Israel. They're anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And their support of Israel is anti-Semitic as well.
Sure.
Like they believe that the chosen sons of God, the Jews, will populate that land and the land will belong to Israel. And then what will happen afterwards is that Jesus Christ will come back to earth and defeat Satan in a war.
It's a
triggering the rapture.
Yeah, it's a cult. It's some cult shit.
Triggering. Yeah. It's actually very cool because it's like a fucking anime. It's insane. But yeah, the rapture will happen and all of the good evangelical Christians will be sucked into the heaven during the rapture, and everyone else that does not convert to evangelical Christianity, which of course includes Jewish people as well, will burn in hell in eternal damnation.
So they get rid of us anyway.
Yeah.
Great.
So
how convenient.
It's a wonderful win-win situation if you're like an evangelical who is anti-Semitic. You're like, oh, go over there, go to the desert.
Sure.
Go.
I heard
go
it's
far
warm.
away.
Yeah.
Go far away from me. I don't want to be around you. But also simultaneously, oh great, you're killing Muslims. That's another win.
It's a win-win for everyone over there.
And also, you're gonna go to hell anyway when the rapture
Somebody
happens.
goes, put him on. He's begging for it. So
Yeah.
is this all? It's all in here.
Yeah.
In love with the nation of Israel.
Thomas Morton. Oh wow. Okay.
Can't
cool.
believe he interned for you. That's so sick.
He was our editorial.
This may be the
Megiddo, here
most
it is.
important prophetic spot in the entire Bible, because the final act of the book of Revelation is going
Can I just say,
Yeah.
Irvin Baxter, End Time Ministries,
Yeah.
already a red flag right there.
Crazy. Yeah.
Why
he-
does this man
one
with a
eye on
southern
America,
drawl,
one eye on the Middle East?
Yeah.
Go on.
Why is this man with a southern drawl talking about how Israel belongs to the chosen sons of God in the middle of fucking Megiddo? Interesting.
to begin right here at this place. The Bible teaches that Russia, Iran,
That's Thomas over
Ethiopia, Libya, Turkey, and other nations will come down under a UN flag, and they will invade Israel at this particular point. Can you imagine? Thousands of tanks out here in this valley, rumbling, fighting, firing.
He's
Can
hallucinating.
you imagine
Like-
jet airplanes screaming overhead? The battle is going to be fierce.
The horrific multinational fighting. This
Okay, but just what if he's right? Okay, hear me out. What if it's correct though? He's just
preacher is
something to think about.
describing is the Battle of Armageddon, which is supposed to happen right here, just as soon as Israel is a fully Jewish state. Which is why a bunch of Christians in Texas have become the most fervent Zionists on God's green earth. While most Americans probably think that the pro-Israeli lobby is largely a Jewish thing, actually most of its support comes from right here in the Bible Belt, where evangelical Christians overwhelmingly believe that Israel has a right to exist because God said so.
Go to the phone right now and call that number and say, yes, I'm going to stand with Israel.
Isn't that funny how all of those televangelists look like the devil incarnate too? Like, it's just, look
Go
at
to
this
the
guy.
phone.
Like,
Yeah,
this
the-
guy literally looks like the devil.
Well, he's
bro.
got a little bit of Logan from Succession.
That's what I,
something in there,
okay,
too.
the
There's
bad guy.
same-
like they
There's a little
always,
Succession
they
thing.
always look so fucking evil, dude. Like, yeah, like Kenneth Copeland is straight up the spawn of Satan. Have you ever heard him talk about how he had to get Tyler Perry gave us a great deal on a private jet. We had to do it. Like, he is such a fucking villain, dog. How do you not see it?
Hassan just said dog.
How-
Go on, go on. So okay, so
Right
this
now
is
and
the
call
gist.
that number and say, yes,
Yes.
I'm going to stand with Israel. I'm going to bless the people of the Bible. I'm going to bless God's chosen people.
Will those of you in this audience
Yeah, it's
support
okay.
the
Oh,
state
boy.
of Israel?
Again, another demon looking like Jabba the Hutt, bro. Like, what the fuck? How does nobody see it? Am I crazy? Like, if I walk into any institution
You
and it's
see
being
him.
led by a guy that looks like this, I'm like, nope, not the good guys.
There's
No
a lot
way.
of people who look like this. This is a lot
No
of people
way.
actually probably relate to him.
No way. I see this. I'm like, nope, this is the bad place. Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna look at you and think you're the bad place too. He's gonna
Yeah,
look at you and be like, "What is this Turk doing on my lawn?"
Yeah. Well, it's
Stand
just
to
like
your
it's.
feet and give a
It
shout
looks
of
so
support.
scary.
While a lot of Israel's financial support does come from Jewish wallets, there are close to 70 million evangelicals in America versus less than 14 million Jews worldwide. And given that roughly 80% of these Christians support Israel, that makes American Christians the largest pro-Israeli voting bloc in the world,
Yep.
about 4 times the size of the Jewish community on Earth. There's
Yep.
a lot of money behind the Christian Zionist movement.
Also, make sure you
This
don't
church
show,
behind me, Cornerstone,
your
is one of
phone
the biggest
to the-
supporters of Israel, not just among Christians, but in the world. The pastor here, John Hagee, has raised an estimated $70 million over the course of his ministry. Pastor Hagee also founded Christians United for Israel,
Did you
or
hear that?
CUFI,
Hagee raised $70 million by 2018.
which is the largest pro-Israel lobbying organization in America. Even bigger than AIPAC, the organization most people assume dominates the American Israel lobby because it's the biggest Jewish one. What's dicey about CUFI is that a good deal of their money for Israel is spent on
It's
buildings
called
and
Kufi?
organizations.
That's also funny, by the way.
Yeah. Kufi, yeah. Christians United for Israel.
That's
Why
funny.
does that mean it? Was that?
You know what a kufi is? It's a dashiki.
Oh, I did not. Yeah, no.
You know the thing that they wore during BLM when they knelt?
Yeah, yeah.
When they kneeled?
I thought it was a kente. The kente cloth.
Kente is the pattern.
Yeah.
Kufi or dashiki. Anyways.
In the Israeli settlements. These are massive Jewish communities.
Did you hear that, by the way? Most of their spending goes directly to funding and facilitating Israeli settlements.
Built well within Palestinian territory in violation of international law. The settlements are run by some of the most fanatical Zionists who believe the Bible entitles them to their land, and that ceding any of it back to the Palestinians would be a violation of God's law.
God gave them that land. They own that land.
The vibrato is crazy.
While there's nothing wrong with Christians supporting Israel, the way these Christians have chosen to do so puts them firmly on one side of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, one that's directly opposed to the U.S. government's official policy, and are using their massive political power and money to oppose the peace plan John Kerry is currently trying to push through. That's the two-state solution that would give the Palestinians the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and the Israelis would get the rest, hopefully ending all the violence. The evangelicals not only lobby Washington and send money to Israel to fight the two-state solution, they also make up over 40% of American tourists in Israel every year with popular Holy Land pilgrimage tours.
40%?
Many of these...
Yes, bro. People... This is why
they go.
Bro,
they're not going for the falafel.
So funny. This is why I think it's so fucking funny that people are always like, "Oh, dude, this is like anti-Semites who are
fixated with AIPAC.
Anti-Semites who are
with
not just like being fixated with AIPAC is understandable, but like a lot of people don't understand.
Depends under which pretext, but yes.
But a lot of people don't understand. It is just like the NRA. AIPAC only exists as a viable political entity, not because of some like outsized influence that Jewish people have, but because it corresponds to a legitimately, and I mean popular, when I say popular, I don't mean like it's a good thing, but a very popular sentiment expressed by the voters. Guns are very popular in America. The NRA is not there to make guns popular. The NRA is only there to make politicians vote in the direction that they were already going to vote in normal times when times are tumultuous. And AIPAC does the exact same thing.
Right.
Their entire goal
is
to
fear mongering to make you kind of like have this defensive voting mechanism.
Yeah. Or fear mongering to say like, oh yeah, you're gonna fucking speak out against Israel. We're dumping $5 million to your like local race.
Sure.
And they've done that before. Yeah. But ultimately, they're not creating the pro-Israeli sentiment or pro-Israel sentiment rather. The pro-Israel sentiment exists in America for multiple different reasons.
A myriad of reasons, which we talked about before, even that whole spectrum that we talked about.
And the reality is that this is what causes so many people to just point it at the Jews. Like to be like, oh no, like, oh, it's the Jews that are doing this. It's the Jews that are doing that. It's like, no, man, it's the fucking Christians, okay? I've said this before. If 99% of American Jews were like rabid anti-Zionists, okay, somehow, tomorrow, everyone was like, I'm Chomsky, okay? Every American Jew tomorrow came out and was like, not in our name.
Yeah.
We're done with this shit. Stop it now. America would still absolutely fund Israel and would absolutely continue on funding Israel and saying, go ahead, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Partially because of the evangelical Christian support, but more importantly than that, because of America's imperialist interest in maintaining Israel as a forward operating base with nukes.
Yeah, I just don't like the word imperialist because there's more modern ways to say that. It's modern. It's not even imperialist. It's geopolitics.
Yeah,
it's post-Cold War.
That's what I mean. Look, I'm old school.
You're old school. Well, yeah, you're Turkish mostly.
A little bit of a.
You're a Turk.
A little bit of a Leninist appreciation for America's actions. That's where it stems from. Is that like America has a genuine interest in operating in maintaining Israel in the way that it is,
of course,
as a destabilizing force in the region that is not ultimately as autonomous as like people would like to think it is.
Ask Iran.
Yeah,
I mean, the region to begin with is a hotbed for proxy wars, and America is one of the players in those proxy wars.
Yeah. Okay.
Tours actually have stops in the Israeli settlements, which are used by the settlers to solicit donations for their cause.
We're in Karnei Shamram, Israeli settlement. We're about to meet Sandra, who deals with Pastor Hagee in
I went to
the United
jail for
States. She
6
is not a
months over a
Christian, she's an
Facebook
Orthodox.
post. Holy shit. I live in Jerusalem. I was just sharing posts that show what is happening in Gaza. Was not really calling for anything bad towards anyone. And I had special forces at my door after a couple days.
Get him on the chat.
He is in the chat.
On the show. Get him on FaceTime.
I live there at the moment, and I can tell you right now, these people are beyond evil. Bro, I feel like he's going to go to jail again. If he
Yeah. Take that down, bro. Unscreenshot this.
Yeah. Bro.
Incredible. I got to go.
You're leaving?
I got to run. Dude, this is incredible. Wait, I gotta do my little chat shout out. Shout out to all my Mizrahis in the chat too, all my Moroccans in the chat, all my Jewish people who are dealing with a lot of different opinions within their families and trying to like reconcile all that. Shout out to all my Palestinians too. Shout out to all my Chomskins and who?
Fucking Austin. While we're having a conversation about serious subjects,
wait, who's Austin?
My podcast co-host is sending me fucking nude photos of himself.
He's jacked.
He is jacked.
He's jacked.
Look at this.
Yeah, I love chat. I missed you guys, but my eyes are hurting. Enjoy the merch. Thank you for putting me on to this like sort of Christian fundamentalist narrative. Like I said, I've
hit
been
up your former intern. He knows he's got the sauce.
All right, bro.
Dave, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for
Don't
having
get your
me.
water.
Yes.
One for the road.
One for the road.
Little road soda.
We'll do it again. We'll bring pee.
Hell yeah.
We'll do it again. Peace out, chat. My man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Later.